'cause there is life abundance, life abundance.
Two girls, one podcast.
Two girls, one podcast? That is terrible. Wait, what was that thing that your chat was like? Your chat was like, is this like 6 friends, 1 cup, or something like that?
Wait, did someone say that?
Yeah, when we did when you did your 12-hour and we were like all in Discord, someone was like, is this like 6 friends, 1
Oh my god, I did not even know. That is so bad. Oh my gosh, I feel like that moment in history just like completely like corrupted everybody's brains. It's like that movie, you know, Final Destination, with like the trucks and like the tubes.
The fucking thing that goes through the window.
Yes, that
Yes.
like traumatized everybody in that our generation too. It's
That's terrible. We're terrible.
terrible.
Okay, so our
Yeah.
it's our introduction.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
So basically, this is what we did for like the last like, I don't know. I got up at 4:30 p.m. today, and they started messaging in like the group chat, like, oh, like when are we doing our podcast? And here we are, like what, 4.5 hours later. And it's so funny because me and Reni, the whole time we were on a call getting ready with each other on like FaceTime, and here we are now.
Here we are. And now we have nothing to talk about because we talked about everything.
Yeah. So,
We talked about everything.
yeah.
But honestly, I would do it again.
Yeah, so we probably will do it again every week. Yeah, actually, I guess we can like talk about like what we plan to do going forward.
Ooh, I'm
So,
down.
Yeah, so
And like, can we
welcome,
leak?
Yeah, can we leave? Might as
Can
well.
we
It's our podcast.
You're so right. Wait, we have free reign. Wait.
Yeah, take on.
This
the
is
day.
ours. This is ours. Okay.
So, basically, we decided we're gonna do a podcast bi-weekly, and then every other week we're gonna do our collab stream on our stream. So, if you guys want to come check us out, yeah.
Little mom. It's little mom. I was like, are you not gonna plug? Are you not gonna plug
Yeah.
yourself?
I was like, maybe I should. It's Lil Ma, and I don't know. Are you gonna change your name on anything, or are you gonna keep it all? the
I think
same?
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep my Twitch, Lorena.
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 Oh. Maybe we can get an editor to like put a little, you know, thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If
Yeah.
anyone's watching on YouTube,
Our handles.
it's right here.
Yay.
I'm
Go us.
crying.
I love it. Here, I'm gonna move this here because like I feel like. Oops. All right, I broke my computer. It's fine. Let's just go with the flow then.
You broke a computer?
Yeah, it won't let me like do anything here, but it's cool. Oh wait, I fixed it. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, let's dive right into it, I guess.
This is the most scuffed podcast ever.
Welcome to the Most Scuffed podcast, first episode. By now, you guys have seen our pilot, and this is us diving into the next one.
Exactly.
Forever.
And
Forever. Oh, you know what? Let's just take a sip of our wines.
Okay, I feel like I've been sipping this whole time.
Oh, cheers.
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 If you watched the pilot, welcome to my Hello Kitty mug again.
Yes.
I'm Reni,
And I'm Lily.
and this is the GlowCast.
Yes. Every
That's so
Wednesday-ish. Well, okay. Actually, I don't know if it's every Wednesday.
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly. Like, we film on Wednesdays, so just remember.
Oh.
Yeah. Because, like, if they
Not
see
us
it, I don't
doxing
know.
our filming time.
The FBI is on to it.
FBI, open up.
Yeah, that's us. And that's
We...
basically it, so bye. Just kidding.
No, okay. If you guys only knew the lengths we went to just to get this episode up and going,
Mhm.
you would think we're like the strongest soldiers or something.
It's such a first world problem, though.
No, this
Like, oh my
actually
God.
is. We're making it out like we did. Wait, we're making it out like we struggled so hard.
Yeah. like literally like went through like the deepest trenches to get this podcast going. Like we have battle scars or something. I can't find any.
Like we're
I've
like
been pretty good lately.
we're so dramatic. Like all we couldn't do was press record. Like that was the biggest problem, was we couldn't press record, and we were just like in the Discord like frantically typing like, someone help, please, someone help.
Yeah. And now we're here with a glass of wine, maybe more if we need.
A glass, a mug, they're all the same.
Yeah. While we were getting ready, we were talking about like stories of how we got like to know each other and like a little bit of our past. So maybe, I don't know, Reni, do you want to talk about like what it was like for you growing up?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, okay, for anyone who doesn't know, the reason we decided to pick this topic is because we feel like it's important that you guys get to know us, and then eventually, hopefully, we can get to know you. But if anyone didn't know, Lily is half Filipino, as am I, and I feel like the reason we bonded so much, and I feel like anyone who surrounds themselves with similar people, they can also like attest to how easy it is to get along with someone who basically grew up like you or shares the same values as you. And we were just talking about like, oh, like, you know, like Filipino moms and like the things that we grew up with, the reasons we came out the way we are.
We're literally the exact same person, which is so funny but so deadly at the same time. Like you guys don't even like when you guys hear this, you guys are gonna be just as mind blown as I guess like we were almost. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I feel like, and okay, I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, I know everything about Lily, because like yeah, we work together, but like as of more recently, like we've just been getting a lot more closer. And so it's kind of like really cool figuring out like little things about them as if like you grew up with them. And every time you tell me something, Lily, I feel like I'm always like, wait, same.
Yeah, it's so relatable. And maybe it's like I think we got into it too because like we were like talking about how we're both half Filipino, but then we're also like half like something else. So I'm half white and Reni's half Spanish. And I was talking about it and I was like, do you ever feel like being a halfie, like you don't really fit in to either of the side? Like there's one that we resonate almost more with, but there's always like, I feel like personally, like with my family, like since I'm half white, I'm Filipino, like my white side, they're always like, oh, like you're very Asian. But then my Filipino side, they think I'm so whitewashed. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that's like a thing with halfies. And I think maybe Reni can kind of relate.
Oh, 100%. It's kind of difficult because everyone thinks like, oh, your family is like the one that you can like relate to the most. But when your family is split like that, it's really, really hard to find someone else who understands like what it feels like.
Yeah.
Almost. And I feel like everyone always is going to have their own opinion. Regardless of where you go, everyone's going to have their own opinion. Everyone's going to have their view of like how you can be Filipino, how you can be white, how you can be this. And it will never fully align with someone's perception of what you should be.
Yeah, what you should be, how you should act, like if you should be one way more than the other. Like it's actually crazy. And I've actually saw this TikTok. I think I'm on like Happy TikTok or whatever. But it's
Happy
like
TikTok? Wait, like Happy Core?
Literally. But no, there's like a thing where it's like I only see like I don't know if like you're half Asian or something. But it's like people always talk about like how, or I guess halfies talk about how they have almost like an identity crisis because they don't know exactly where they belong. And I was like, you know what? Like kind of relatable.
And I feel like that completely applies to people who aren't even half either. Like people who are full something, but they grew up far from that country or wherever their homeland is. Because I know a lot of full Filipinos. I know a lot of people who are full and they grew up here in America or they grew up in Canada or they grew up wherever and they still have that same crisis too.
Yeah.
And I feel like the reason they have that crisis is honestly so much deeper than, oh, your family just says this, your family just says that. Like it's people judging from the outside without thinking of your side.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly
Like,
that.
I know there was like this thing on like Filipino Talk. Filipino Talk.
That's the thing.
Filipino Talk, where I think the most like recent controversy that happened was like this girl, she wore her stole wrong. And like,
Oh,
I don't know if you saw it. Did you not see it?
I don't think so.
It was like pretty big. But this girl, she wore like a Filipino stole for her graduation.
Yeah.
And I guess there was like, I'm honestly like the last person to like give an opinion on this because I don't even know the correct way. But I guess there is a correct way to technically wear it. And she wore it wrong. Okay.
Oh
and then
God.
she got called out for it and she apologized for it. But there was a content creator in the Philippines who like just completely shut down the idea of like her wearing her stole. And they were saying, they brought up like the law and they were like, in the Philippines, you can't wear like the flag in any way, like like it's against the law, it's illegal. So not only do you not have any regard for your culture, but you also don't have regard for the law. Yeah. And then like basically a ton of other people were just like rallying behind him, attacking this poor girl who apologized already.
Yeah.
And basically bullied her out of wearing her stole on her graduation.
God. I think it's kind of sad because it's like, for one, like at least she's trying to be involved with the culture. Like maybe she did something wrong. Like that's okay. She's still trying. But it's like to attack someone for like just trying to be familiar with it and like trying to embrace their almost like identity. Like she didn't grow up in like the same circumstances or same way, but it like shouldn't stop her from like embracing literally who she is. Like literally like what her genetic identity is. And like I feel like I can kind of relate because like, did you have a debut?
I did. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
You
But,
did?
Oh my gosh, I did. Stop.
I want
Actually,
pictures. I want
pictures. So this is like what, like, this is like, I don't know, maybe you related too, but like since I'm only half and I don't even look Filipino, I guess some people don't think, like some people are like, oh, like you, I thought you were full white. Some people are like, you know, like they never
I
say
think you
Filipino.
do. I think you do.
Maybe it's, I think halfies know when someone else is also half though.
Yeah.
Because like anytime I talk to someone else who's half, they're like, I knew you were a half, but I didn't know of what. And I'm like, oh, stop, same. But like when it's like someone who's full, they never would have guessed it.
Yeah.
But like they basically, like I had a debut and I remember like it was like in high school and people are like, some Filipinos didn't even get a debut, right? They're like, you're not even like full Filipino, like how are you getting a debut before me? And it's like stuff like that. And it was like a little bit of like, it was just weird to think about because I was like, you know, like my mom's full Filipino, my Lola, like, and everybody's like full. So it's like, you know, they wanted me to embrace it in that way, similar to how my mom did, you know? So it's like, I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's not the exact same thing with like the situation you were saying, but it's like kind of like, it's like people are almost like, you shouldn't do something because you're like not full. You know?
Or like you're not from here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I get exactly what you mean. And honestly, I feel like in your situation, people are just projecting. They're just jealous. They're just jealous. And honestly, like, you don't even have to be half. You don't have to be whatever. Like, there's always going to be people jealous of you regardless.
Yeah,
like, you could be full Filipino and they'll still be like, why are you getting a debut and I'm not? You know?
Yeah, as like a Filo-Canadian, why are you doing it?
Exactly.
Like that.
And I feel like as like a Filo-Canadian or like a Filo-American, it's really hard finding the balance between wanting to claim your culture, wanting to like project that out into the world, but then not wanting to offend everyone. And that's impossible.
Yeah, that's exactly it too. Did you find like I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but like to kind of bring it back, like did you find there's one side you feel more connected to than the other?
Filipino,
yeah, me too.
For sure.
I feel
for
the same
sure.
way. Because you grew up with like, did you grow up with both parents or
I
one?
did. I grew up with both parents, and like the most Filipino thing ever, I live with my grandparents too. So
I lived with my grandparents for a bit too.
Exactly. See, like live with your parents, one of your parents' grandparents are there,
Yeah,
like,
there's
or
something.
one of your parents' parents are there, and it's just like, like how you mentioned like your Lola and your Lolo, like I lived with my Lola and my Lola. Like they like brought me to school, they picked me up from school, like they did.
So cute.
They're like the parent figures, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand, because I know it's not as common for people not to live with their parents like here.
Yeah. It's
but
not.
it's
I
like,
feel like it's definitely like some cultures, like people are like more like they'll live with like they'll bring in their grandparents or something like that. They'll be very integrated with them.
Like we don't believe in nursing homes. Like we don't believe in like retirement homes. Unless like you absolutely have to. Unless there's like no other way for
you need like
to...
medical nurse. But usually most of the time like we'll bring them into the home or like stuff like that. Or like even like go to their home, you know?
And like it's like a built-in babysitter. Like my parents never had to pay for a babysitter. Like my grandparents were always there.
Yeah, that was like my family too. Like they would always send us out to my grandparents, like either from either side, and then like it just made sense. And then eventually I turned into the babysitter for my brothers, and it was like great.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest, and then I have 2 younger brothers.
What?
Yeah, and then you're an only child, right?
I'm like,
that sounds fun. I'm
like the typical model, like immigrant parents didn't want to overwhelm themselves. They just had one. Like, they just had one. That's it.
But no, I feel like you were. I don't mean to like put this on like anybody else, but I feel like with like people who have siblings and people who don't have siblings, you can literally notice it's a complete different trait. But I feel like you were brought up really well because like I thought you had. Well, like, siblings. Okay, not saying people who are only child aren't brought up well. They are. But I find they have different mannerisms where they kind of, like, they're very, like, to themselves and, like, they're very, like, used to just, like, having everything on their own that they don't really consider, like, the concept of sharing. And I'm just gonna put this out here. Maybe it's, like, controversial. Maybe it's not. But I feel like it's, like, every only child I know ended up cheating on their boyfriends or girlfriends.
Are you serious?
Yeah, every single only child I know. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. I'm noticing a little bit of a trend here.
Stop. That's actually crazy. I've never like noticed that.
Maybe that's just my city then.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's like a city diff. Like I don't know if it's like a sibling diff. I don't think it's a sibling diff. I think that's just like, okay, not even a city diff. That's just like the person diff. Like
multiple person diff.
Multiple person diff.
I'm pretty sure there are people with siblings who are like cheaters. But it's like that's just like what I've noticed. But anyways, going back to it, I feel like you were like brought up like really like cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. And honestly, I feel like my parents would appreciate hearing that too.
Yeah.
But I completely get what you mean too. Because growing up, I definitely noticed, like, I wasn't always, like, great, you know? Like, I feel like I had my, like, little spoiled moments as well. But at the end of the day, something that I will always thank my dad for teaching me was he just always reminded me, he was like, you have to be a nice person because you don't have siblings to rely on. If, like, knock on wood, something were to happen to us, you don't have siblings. Like, it's just gonna be you.
Yeah.
And I feel like I took that as, like, took it as a threat. No, I'm like,
you're like,
no. I'm like, okay, bet. No, I took it as, like, wait, he's right. Like, I am by myself. And I didn't really realize it until I got older. And I know it's, like, such, like, a thing where you, like, don't listen to your parents. And then, like, later down the line, you're like, oh, they were right. But, like, the older you get and the more that you, like, see how the world works, you see that they were kind of right. You know, like,
just
you can see, like, yeah, you can have, like, the bestest friends and you can have, like, the bestest bonds or, like, the best relationship ever. But at the end of the day, like, they also have their families to worry about too. Like, you know, like they have their responsibilities. Like, you can't completely depend on someone. And I know it's, like, different for everybody.
Yeah.
I just know personally for me, I hate being a burden. Like, I don't know if it's, like, the Filipino thing in me. Like, I just hate burdening people. Like, I hate when people like offer to pay for me because then I feel bad, or like
I always feel bad.
Exactly. It's like when you're like in the restaurant and then all the aunties and uncles, like they're fighting for the check. Like it's literally like that, but my life. Like,
I feel
like just having to find the balance of like, okay, this is like how like I need to like straighten up.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like growing up an only child, I feel like people think I miss out on a lot. But, and I agree, I probably did miss out on a lot too. Like, you know, like always uneven numbers when you go to Disneyland. But like,
or like, I
like,
see. I didn't even think about that. Like being on like a ride by yourself.
Yeah.
Or
like vacations gets kind of like boring.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
It's not too bad. Honestly, like I think it's like really tough at first because when you're a kid, all you're thinking about is having fun.
Yeah.
Right? But like now that I'm older, now that I pay for stuff,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I would have one kid too.
Yeah.
Like,
it's expensive. I know. I'm like, even like, maybe I would have one. I kind of want two though, because like if I buy a set of plates, they come in sets of 4. So me and my husband and two kids.
Lily basing her entire life plan off the fact that it comes in 4. Like
that's exactly what I based it all off though, because then you only have to buy one set, and then you get guests over, you just have paper plates. Just easy.
Exactly. No, that's actually kind of smart. But the fact that that was like your main reason, the fact that was your main reason is kind of sending me.
It's literally what drove me. I literally planned like I'm having max 2 kids, nothing like more, because then I have to buy more plates, and plates are expensive now.
They are
expensive.
I love a good paper plate.
Yeah, I know.
That is probably so bad. That's probably so bad.
Filipino engraved. But no, I love going to a Filipino party and being able to like bring like plates home and like wrap it in a plastic bag. Oh my god, my favorite.
Oh my god, the to-goes.
Yeah.
The to-goes from a party.
My favorite part for sure. I loved it.
I love a good Filipino party. It's honestly not only do you get to see like your cousins who you don't really get to see as often, or like family, but like, oh my god, they put something in the food when everyone's all together.
So it just tastes way better for some reason.
So much
and like
better.
You gotta try everybody's home cooking. It's so good. I love so much. Is there like any like you?
I was like, I would probably eat so much.
Same. The leche flan.
That is my favorite dessert.
Oh my god, me too.
Shut up. Is it actually?
Yeah, my Lola would literally like, she used to like bake like leche flan for us or make it or whatever, and she would always have like one for each family, and I would always be like, please make extra, like I need it. Or like she would make, I don't know, she would just, the desserts just hit different. I feel like they're so good, but they're also full with so much sugar. Even our spaghetti has sugar in it. Like it's actually crazy.
Do you like Filipino spaghetti?
It's the best spaghetti. I think there's no
I love
better
Filipino spaghetti.
So good. Nothing tastes better than Lola's literally homemade Filipino spaghetti.
But some people just really don't like the sugar in the spaghetti.
Yeah, which is weird though, because it's like, why wouldn't you like it? Like there's hot dogs in it. It's sweet. It's just so good. I hate when people do you see these things where people talk about our spaghetti and they're literally like, oh, like it's so cheap because you guys add like hot dogs into it. But it's like, well,
what are you supposed to put in it?
Yeah, it literally tastes better with hot dogs.
What are you supposed to put in it? Like,
yeah, just like ground beef, like that's it.
Ground beef and meatball.
No, lame. Meatball or no, ground beef and hot dogs and sugar. I'm there.
No, I would eat that up. Like I love a good, like I live far from my parents, so I can't really have like homemade Filipino spaghetti, but I love a good Jollibee.
Oh my gosh, Jollibee is good. It hits
different. So good. And like the palabok.
Oh, so good. Filipino food is my favorite. It's so good.
Did you ever have that problem, like bringing homemade food in middle school?
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me tell you.
Like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, where people
because
like,
I've been meaning to speak up.
Yeah, I know. It's like where people kind of make fun of you, right? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I lived in a very small town. This is like a story I have. Okay, I lived in a very small town when I was younger, and it was primarily, you know what I mean, like farmland. Just think about that. Yeah, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. So there was a culture day at our school, and our school is like very small, primarily a certain demographic, if you know what I mean. And so my family would bring me, like my mom like literally cooked like Filipino food, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, like I get to go to like because like I was probably one of, even though I'm only half Filipino, I was probably one of the most cultural, I don't know, but of ethnic background there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it.
There was like no other Asians. That's what I'm trying to say.
Like, to put it blankly, I was one of the only.
Yeah, exactly. So I literally, my mom made like leche flan, and then I forget what else she made, and literally I remember like and my mom was so excited too. She's like, oh, like culturally, I'm gonna step on all these kiddos' parents. Yeah. And I was like, you do it, mom, you do it. And so I remember like having it served out, and every kid like that like poured it into their bowl or plate, they'd be like, ew, like why does it smell like that? They're like, why is it so mushy? And I was literally like,
what was it?
Gosh. My mom, like the leche flan, for example. It was
just
like,
the leche flan? That was it?
It was the leche flan, and I don't remember what else she made, but it was something, I can't remember what she made, unfortunately. But I remember it was something else. She made 2 dishes for me, but I got so much, like, people were like, what is that? Like, what are you eating? And it was just like, I was like, okay, like, wow, that completely, like, crushed my spirits as like a little child too. Like I was probably like grade 3 or 4, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm such an outcast too. Yeah, it was really interesting, but they're just mad that their food doesn't have seasoning. So
exactly. And
now that I look back,
you know what's so funny, like, and it kind of just clicked in my head when you mentioned that, is like pretty much any other Asian culture could probably relate to that same story, because I think this has definitely, like, the lunchroom discussion has been had so many times, and I never get tired of hearing people's stories too. And going back to how we talked about like people have like an identity crisis, it literally starts in the lunchroom, because
it literally does.
I have this same story too, but like when people make fun of you for your culture or the food of your culture or the things that you love, grew up with, it kind of makes you feel like, you know, now that you're older, you can fight back. But when you're younger, and you're as impressionable, like, people's opinions really get to you. And I remember thinking like, okay, I'm not gonna like claim that I'm Filipino. And that sounds so bad. But I just remember for the longest time, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna tell people I'm American.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because it was just like so embarrassing for me. And I think it's because like I was just like so young. Like I don't have siblings to like talk to. I can't really tell my parents about it because they'll just be like, who cares?
Yeah,
so,
they don't. They just don't get it. Exactly.
When you're a kid, you just like suppress everything that's embarrassing. And even if it's not something to be embarrassed about, if you get made fun of, that's automatically embarrassing.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Like, and I didn't even bring anything crazy. Like, I literally had adobo. Like, it was just adobo.
No, and oh my gosh, I can't even, and like, I just don't understand like why they like what is engraved for them like to be so afraid of like new things, especially as a new child. Like, wouldn't you be kind of like,
curious?
Yeah, curious, eager to know, like willing to try new things. And like even to this day, like I have like some coworkers or even like my friends, like they'll open up their lunches around me. They're like, sorry if my food smells, and I'm like,
don't apologize. It
like, it literally does not smell good.
The thing that's crazy to me is I used to think that, right? Like I used to be like, oh, my food does smell.
Yeah,
but it smells good.
Yeah, it smells good. But
Like,
I would
what
say,
does
like,
your
a
peanut
strain.
butter and jelly sandwich smell like?
Yeah,
Fred?
exactly. You're probably gonna kill one of the kids in the class with
I'm
that
like,
peanut butter and jelly
exactly.
sandwich.
Like, what the fuck did my adobo
Yeah.
do to you? Like, what the
Exactly.
hell? Like, no one has to sit at a different table just because I have adobo. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
exactly.
But
They
like,
just didn't understand.
they saw the bay leaf. If
Oh
you know, you know.
no, and they were confused by
Yeah.
the baby.
They were like, "You're eating like a leaf," and I'm like, "I don't eat it. You don't eat the bay
It's
leaf.
like it's literally there for like the flavoring. Oh my
You don't
god.
eat the bay leaf."
Yeah, people just don't get it. They
Or like
don't get it.
when oh my god, I remember a long time ago, like when TikTok like was first like a thing,
Mhm.
someone posted like a video saying like, "I just went to Chipotle and I can't believe I found a leaf in my rice." It was a bay leaf.
What?
It was a bay leaf. It was a bay leaf.
That's so weird that like people aren't used to like that
Yeah.
spice.
Like they
Is
don't.
it a spice or like what?
It's
I
like
think
a-
it's kind of a spice. Like, I don't even know. I see. It's so normal.
An
for me that I
aromatic?
don't even- yeah.
An aromatic, I think.
Yeah, however you say that word. Aromatic. Aromatic.
Aromatic.
Aromatic. You guys know what I mean. If you know, you
Aromatic.
know.
And it's like, it's crazy to me that like they see one thing that they don't like, or one thing that they can call out, and it's like, you're a fucking laughing stock.
Yeah, for so long. Or they're like, oh, remember when you brought in this? And it's like, bro, literally no.
I would
Oh my
be
gosh.
sobbing. I like
Yeah.
remember sobbing, and like we mentioned how we had to booze, right?
Yeah.
When I was like young and I was getting made fun of, I pushed back so hard. I was like, I don't want a Dibu. I want a sweet
Aw.
16.
Yeah.
Because everyone was having a sweet 16, or everyone was going
Yeah.
to have a sweet 16. Like that's all they would talk about. Like
Yeah.
when you're in middle school, they're like, oh, I can't wait to have my sweet 16. Like
Oh.
this and that. And I
Is
just
that
remember
like an
thinking,
American thing?
is it not like a Canadian thing?
I know that people have sweet 16s, but I thought it was with I don't know where sweet 16 like is that
It's like yeah, I guess it is American.
okay. I remember seeing it in movies.
Yeah,
but
like
I just thought that
MTV.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like yeah, MTV's My Sweet 16. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that show was intense. I just thought it was like if you were like very like your family had a lot of money that like there was like spoiled daughters.
It's like
I
their
didn't know it was
version of a
normal.
debut.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see,
it's
I
like
see.
their version of what we do.
Okay,
but-
and like with Spanish people, it's like they have like quinceañeras and all that stuff.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say.
Is that the right? I think it is.
I don't really know. I don't really know.
I need to do my research.
I don't really know, and I feel really bad saying I don't really know, because I want to say yes, but I'm not sure if it's just like what parts celebrate
I
what,
see
you know what I
Like,
mean?
it just depends on like which.
Like,
where.
yeah, whatever your
Oh,
culture
okay.
does, good for
Yeah.
you. Don't fight back on
Yeah,
your culture, because
exactly.
I
Embrace
did.
it.
And I'm so glad I like came to my senses like in high
Mhm.
school, because like I said, I fought so hard to not have a debut,
Yeah.
because I just like, it was weird. Like I thought it was like different, and I thought like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't want a debut because then they're gonna just like criticize the food there, or they're just gonna like not understand it. But like everyone gets a sweet 16. It's the exact same thing. Like
Yeah.
it's just like ours is like from the culture, and ours is at
Yeah.
a different age. Like there's no difference, you know?
Mhm.
And I'm really glad that when I was in high school, I like came to my like senses, and I was like, you know what? Like I do want a debut. Like I
Yeah.
do want to like embrace that part. And
Oh my gosh.
I know
cute.
it was like something that my mom wanted for me too, just because
Yeah.
I don't think she got one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Aw.
Because, like, debuts are expensive. If anyone doesn't
They
know
are.
what a debut is, it's basically, like, a coming-of-age party.
Yeah, exactly. Like for Filipinos, it's like when you turn 18. Like the
Mhm.
girls. I think the guys they do something when they're 21. But
Do they?
it's not. Yeah, that's what my mom said. She was like, when your brothers are 21, like they typically don't, but if they wanted to, they could. But
Mhm.
typically, it's like they just get like I don't know, some type of little get together or something when they're 21.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it's like as normalized as like a
Mhm.
debut is though. But yeah, basically like a coming of age where like people come in together and celebrate, and then there's like 18 roses, 18 candles, and like
Like
you
a
sign
court.
Yeah, and then like the roses will dance with you, the candles will do a speech, and then usually candles are typically like girls, and then roses are guys that you dance with, and then you'll dance with like your father and Lolo and all that stuff.
I so badly wanted a debut for so long.
Yeah.
And then when I got mine, it was kind of like underwhelming.
Really?
Yeah.
I was so excited
underwhelming.
too. And then when I got mine, it ended up being like horrible.
Wait, okay. I was gonna say something, okay? And I was just like, the reason I held back is because I didn't want to like make it like a big thing. But like mine was horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
My debut itself was like cute, but then like we all wanted to go to the club after, and that itself was horrible. Like,
really?
Yeah. Wait, do you want to tell your story?
No, it was just like, mine was just like, oh, you know, like people grow out.
Yeah.
People grow apart and stuff. Like that type stuff. But basically, it just wasn't what everything like I thought it would be, but it's okay because I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about like, oh, who's actually in my life, like who's still in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling guilt for a really long time because I would just constantly blame myself. And then I thought, and I reflected back, and I was like, what did I do that no one else wouldn't have done in my position? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also like thought back to it too, and I was like, there's like a select group of people who I still talk to this day, like still hang out with to this day, still completely fine with to this day, and nothing ever affected that. Yeah. So I just thought about it, and I was like, everything that I thought was my fault is actually like not. Like, you know. But I want to hear the club story.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, if this girl is hearing this story, I am so sorry, but I'm not going to name names. But
stop.
Basically, because like when you book a hall, like it closes pretty early, right? So we're like, okay, like we'll go to the club after. And it was my first time at the club. And oh my gosh, like this girl and like the group of friends, like all of us from the debut were gonna go to the club because I was like the youngest in my school to have a debut. So everybody was able to go. And I was there and I was like, oh my god, cool, I'm in a club for the first time, whatever. They bring in my friend who is completely drunk. And this is when I realized like these friends aren't my friends either, and they're not your friends either, because if you're gonna like just force someone to come to the club and then throw them to someone else to take care of, like that's first of all L friend. But basically like I was taking care of her, she was so drunk, and then I had my wallet and I didn't have a phone at the time, so I was holding my friend's phone. And this girl knocks the wallet out of my hand, knocks my friend's phone out of my hand, and I had to go chase it through the club, and someone already like ended up stealing it.
No.
So I left the club crying, and then I literally what did I do? Oh yeah, all the money I made from my debut I ended up using to buy my friend a new phone, because I felt so bad that like, you know, this was gonna happen. And she's like, it's okay, I'll pay you back, I'm sorry. And then like I never talked to her again after. Like maybe like we talked like once, but it was just like kind of awkward, and we just never talked again. But like,
you're so nice though for doing that.
Well,
and like that's completely out of your control. Well, it was completely out of your control. But like you still like felt guilt, and I honestly that really reflects like my idea of you, Lily, because like you're just like so sweet, and I feel like I could totally see you doing that, like something that's not even your fault, like you're just like full on taking accountability, and you're like, you know what, like let me get you a new phone.
Well, I felt so bad because like I remember like my friend who I was using her phone, like she came in, I was like, I'm so sorry, like your phone is like completely gone. And I didn't have a phone at the time either, because like I lost mine also, or it was broken or whatever. And then she was like, no, it's fine. But I was like, no, like I'm buying you a new phone, like that's not fair to you, like if I was using your phone. But yeah, that was basically how my 18th birthday went, and it was horrible. And then I remember all the friends that came from the debut ended up going to the club. They're like, why are you leaving? And I was like, I'm leaving.
I'm having a terrible time.
Yeah,
I'm having a terrible time.
It was literally so bad.
My anxiety could not.
Yeah, but I think that just like also reflects like off the type of people that you kind of surround yourself with at a young age, because it's like if I know
terrible choices.
why
Choices.
would you bring them out, you know, like
Yeah.
why not like send them home, make sure they're like okay, like this is all of our first times being like adults, like let's kind of like, I guess you learn, you live and you learn, but like at the same time like
is a lesson.
Literally
every
everything is
bad
a lesson.
friendship, every falling out, it's like, don't dwell on it. It's just a lesson,
exactly.
Honestly.
It's like a canon event.
It's
meant to happen.
a canon event. If anyone, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. A canon event. Another canon event for
another
me.
one.
Another canon event for a Filipino is having a long ass name.
Oh my gosh, yes. How many? Okay, we don't have to say our real names.
No.
But I have like I have like I have a first name, 2 middle names, and then a last name.
I have 2 first, 2 middle,
oh
a
my
last.
God. Oh my gosh. Did they read your full name at your graduation?
No. Like, you just put whatever you want on the card.
Oh, okay, yeah. They didn't read my full one either, but I'm like, it's a really long
I'm like,
name.
that would low-key be a dox, because like I use it for so many different things. Like my middle names.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I use it for like, oh my God, can I even say this? Like, I use it for like passwords sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like security questions. I will never tell anyone my middle name though. So like,
I want to know it after.
I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
You might have told me, but yeah, that's like kind of like me. I started embracing. I used to hate my middle name, but now I actually love it. I wish I could talk about it. But one day, guys, you'll know my full name. Our names are gonna be out there, and we won't be able to control them.
There's nothing we can do. It's on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like, fuck no. I don't have my full name on LinkedIn. That's hella funny though. Imagine like we're being so secretive. It's like, oh, it's on LinkedIn. Like, what?
Yeah, you guys will never find my LinkedIn, by the way.
That is sick. No, I remember thinking, okay, I thought everyone's middle name, because you know how they have their middle name as their actual middle name.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, okay, everyone has 2 first names. They have to. Like, I've like in my head, everyone has 2 first names.
Yeah.
Okay. Like my aunts have 2 first names. I have 2 first names. So I was just like, okay, then everyone has 2 first names. So I remember thinking, wow, everyone should. So like when, like, let's just like make up a random person. Like, let's call her Giselle. Like, let's just call her Giselle. Okay. She would be like, oh, my middle name's Rose. And I thought that's her 2 first names. So Giselle Rose. I thought that was her first name.
I see what you mean.
Because that's how mine is.
Yeah.
Or like so many, like my second name is Marie.
Yeah.
So
I see.
There's so many people whose middle name is Marie. And I thought that their name was actually like something Marie.
Yeah.
But then I learned it was like their actual middle name. And I was like so surprised because my middle names are like, you know, like my parents, like my mom's maiden name, you know? So that was kind of like culture shock. Definitely when you like realize like, oh, not everyone has this. But I think it's just because you grew up in a small town that was like, what's it called? Like, more if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yours is like more if you know, you know.
If you know, like, you know.
Mine was the complete opposite. If anyone knows what Daly City is, that's where I'm from. And I don't even have to explain to them like what that means because they will completely understand what I'm saying. Like the population of Daly City is predominantly Filipino.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's predominantly Filipino. So but I didn't always live there. That's the thing. That's when I moved from Daly City, I would always bring my lunch. Totally fine. No problems.
Yeah.
Everyone had the same situation. I moved to a more if you know, you know city. Then I started bringing my lunch. That's when it really got bad.
Yeah. Because
I was no longer around people who were just like me.
Yeah, who like was familiar.
Yeah, and so in Daly City, I had so many friends who had 2 first names. So that's why I thought everyone has 2 first names.
Yeah.
And then when I came to like the new city, I was like, oh, it's like a culture thing. Kind of like how like in Daly City, everyone uses like a spoon and a fork. But like
I
in this
see what
new
you
city, they
mean.
only use
Yeah.
a fork. I'm like, wait,
Okay.
what?
Yeah.
And I remember they would be like, why do you eat with a spoon and a fork?
It's like normal.
It's normal. Like, what do you want me to
Yeah.
pick the rice up with?
Yeah.
Like,
Filipinos don't use knives. We use our spoons.
yeah. And it's so
Literally.
convenient.
Yeah.
You
less
feed a
dishes.
child. You feed a child with a spoon. Why would we
Yeah.
throw that away? Like,
Yeah,
why,
exactly.
why would we give that up? You know?
When we're cooking our I don't know actually. I'm not gonna say, because whenever I say dishes, like people are like, oh my god, you're saying it so whitewashed. But there's
What does
like
it start with?
I think it's beef. Here, I'll type it to you. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Actually, wait, no. Okay, this is so stupid because in high school I got made fun of this. Okay, because my Lola would make this dish and it was like beef steak, and it's like, yeah. But I would say, I have it typed. I would literally
Lily,
say,
I almost like spilled my wine everywhere.
I would say, okay, I'll just say what I type. I would say beef steak.
That's the most real though. That's the most real.
But I thought that's how it was pronounced, the dish, right? So
Yeah.
I would literally say that. And one of my Filipino friends, they were like, beef steak? I was like, is that not normal?
Beef
But
steak.
that's how my, like, they would say it, but obviously they have an accent, right?
What's that? Like a beep? Like beep?
Yeah. But I was just so used to my mama saying it. And I would just be like, oh yeah, that's like one of my favorite dishes, blah blah blah. She makes it so good.
Yeah.
She adds like onion and potato and steak.
The whole
and
time
then
you're
they're
just
like-
talking about beef steak.
But that's like a thing. I guess like Filipinos love to
Yeah.
change their F's to P's or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought it
Like
was
subconsciously
literally-
though. Subconsciously.
So I literally thought it was beef steak, but it's beef steak. So it was so embarrassing. But yeah, that's how I realized that's not a real dish. Well, it is a real dish. I just never said it right. So,
I know exactly what you're talking about though.
yeah.
I completely get it. Because I'm just like immune to the accent.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm just immune all of a sudden. But like I always like every time I would hear my like Lola say something or my
Yeah.
mom say something, because both my parents immigrated here, so
Yeah.
they had like pretty thick accents growing up.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of just like knew what they were saying. So like my Lola would say like beefsteak.
Oh.
It's like BISTEK.
And then steak.
Beefsteak. Like
my-
beefsteak.
Yeah. See, my Lola and my grandparent, like my mom's side of the family, they immigrated from the Philippines.
Mhm.
So they literally be like beef steak. And I was like,
Beefsteak.
beef steak, and I was like, oh my god, yes, Lola's making beef steak tonight. It sound. Anyways, yeah.
Like a fucking car. Beep. Honk stick.
Just culture diff.
Culture div.
Yeah.
That was like, that is so funny though. But it's
Yeah.
also so cute.
Yeah.
Like you thought it was really beep.
Yeah, but it just she didn't say the. I guess she was just trying to say beef steak. But now I know.
There's like so many words that like my mom growing up would just like throw me off. Like I'd just be like,
Yeah.
wait, what? I'd be like, wait, what is that? And then like she would like
Yeah.
rephrase it and I'd be like, oh, okay, I understand what she's saying.
Yeah. I have that issue too. I feel like I still to this day, and a lot of people notice, like when they come in my streams and like anything, like they'll notice I say words wrong, but it's just because like when I grew up, I never really had like the correct pronunciation of things.
Right.
So that's basically my experiences with, I guess, English. And like a lot of people would be like, oh, are you ESL? And I'd be like, no, actually English is my first language.
I was in ESL.
Where you were?
Yeah. I was in ESL. And let me tell you why. They had like a questionnaire, like
Yeah.
for in high school, like, oh, do you speak a different language at home?
Yeah.
is like English your first language, da 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 da. And as long as you speak a different language at home, they put you in ESL, like by default.
Oh,
it was so
maybe
weird.
That's what it was.
And I wasn't like AP. I wasn't AP.
Yeah.
Like, I can speak English. I can speak English. And I remember having to take, because like the first day of ESL, you take a test to see if you actually belong there.
Yeah.
So I remember taking the test, and English isn't actually my first language. I learned Tagalog words first, but I learned them at the same time. But I learned Tagalog words first,
like
because
Taglish.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the translation of things, anyone who's bilingual knows, the translations of things kind of get confusing, like in your head, or like you kind of forget like the words for things, like, or like
there's some words that you can't even translate either.
Yeah. So for slippers, like sometimes I forget the word for slippers because I always call them like chanelas.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that always throw me off. It's simple words that I definitely know, but I just like kind of forget the English word for it sometimes. So I remember in the first day of ESL, they show you pictures.
No, actually, like
they show you pictures of items.
Yeah.
Oh, this is how my school did it. They show you pictures of items and you write the word. And I remember they
No.
This is so funny. They showed a picture of an apostrophe. Okay? Like like the punctuation, an apostrophe. I forgot the word. I literally just forgot the word, and I don't even know it in Tagalog, so I have no idea how I could have forgotten that word. But I like completely blanked, and I left it blank. It was like, it just like got so like, it was like so random because they were showing pictures of like a carrot, a banana, like a gas tank, like a car. And the apostrophe really fucked me up. Like it really messed me up. I was like, I know what that is, but I just like don't know the word for it. But thankfully I passed. Thankfully I passed.
That's good.
Thankfully I got out of that. But it's still so funny when people are like, oh, like because I know other people in my class who speak a different language at home. They're like, yeah, they put me in ESL too. It was so weird.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even put in ESL, but I remember being low-key jealous of the kids who were, because they would have like the funnest like classes, and like
Really?
they would I swear once a week they would have like what's it called, like they would have like a day where they can bring in snacks and watch movies. Like their classes were a lot more chiller than our classes.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my god, I wish she was my teacher. But maybe it was like just a different, maybe I don't even know. Maybe it was like not even really ESL then. I don't really know what the second class was. I can't even think. But I'm pretty sure it was that. I mean, it makes sense. But I remember high school, it was like different.
Yeah.
But also in high school I didn't live in a small town. I lived in a city. So
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
yeah.
Like I feel like ESL is like so crazy to me still.
It is.
Because like the way that they teach English is so interesting. Like they show it's like they show, well, obviously this isn't the same for everyone, but like the fact that they showed like baby pictures of like you know, like those baby cards. I was like, that's a carrot. Like what?
Oh really? They
yeah.
Wait, how old are you when they were doing this?
I was like 14.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Not them showing a picture of. What did you find like in your class? There were some people that like.
Yeah, and like obviously like that class is like really helpful for them. But I feel like there's so many other ways that they could have taught that better. But obviously maybe it's just like my school. Maybe it's just a school diff. I'm sure there's like other places that like do a better job.
Honestly, relatable school diff. Even my schools were very questionable. Very, but
school.
I mean,
I love to blame school.
Yeah, thriving.
Thriving. Degenning.
I know. We literally degen all the time. Do you find you're on a degen schedule?
Oh, definitely. It's
Yeah.
so bad.
Me too.
It's
I
so
mean, today
bad. And
was
all my
like-
friends know it too. They're like, oh, it's okay. She won't reply until this time. Like,
Yeah. Literally, I hate it because like I'll get Snapchats of like my friends like in the morning when they're going to work, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go to sleep. Right now.
I should-
Like it's so bad, and like my friends are like nurses, teachers, like whatever, and I'm here like, okay, I'm gonna go stream video games.
literally, I'm like, I act like I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I act like I have like the hardest job, but it's really just like
Mhm.
talking to a camera for hours.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Mhm.
even if I'm not streaming, I still degen. And I think it's
Mhm,
because
same.
like maybe I'm a night owl. I just don't want to like call it that though. Like I just like it's like a
Yeah.
choice. Like I choose
Yeah.
to stay up.
I literally try to sleep early and I can't. It's so
I
bad.
can't.
I literally can't.
Does melatonin
like-
work for you?
No. it
Me
does
neither.
not.
I'm
I
immune.
tried taking it. I'm still like awake.
I'm immune.
But like no, like to go back on that, I feel like with streaming, like I think a big misconception is that people think that our jobs are so easy. But I feel like streaming, it does take a lot out of you still because
Mhm.
it's like normally people don't have to like be super like high energy and very active like at all
you could
hours
be
of the
cozy,
day.
you could be chill,
Mhm.
but every job
Mhm.
is, and in retrospect, streaming I know is not the hardest job.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially physically, it is not the hardest
Mhm.
job. Emotionally, mentally, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard. Like
Yeah,
having
it's still very draining, but I think in a sense like every job is draining. Of course there are jobs that are easier than others, but it still like takes a toll on you
In
like,
its own
just like
way.
any other in its own way, just like any other job would do. Like obviously there's like not as high level of stress as like being a surgeon would
Oh my
be.
God.
Obviously
Yeah,
not. No, but like it's still time consuming and having to edit and take time to like make sure
Yeah.
you reach out to everybody. Like it still takes like a significant time of your day.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
just constantly having to like live up to people like chat's expectations
Yeah.
of you, like not wanting to let them down. Like
yeah,
it sounds so first world, but at the same time, like if you're just trying to see other people's perspective, like
Mhm.
if someone tells you like, streaming is kind of hard, like just accept it. Like
Yeah.
everything is hard regardless. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like yes, it may not be the hardest job in the world, but like to them if it's hard, then like you should like, check up on them too, because it is like
Exactly.
it takes a lot out of a person.
Mhm.
And especially like having to like balance with school, which is probably why we degen.
Probably.
That's probably why. Because like
Well,
we
I-
just try to have like a good like balance between school, work, streaming.
And
like,
at
just-
nighttime, it's like the only time you have actually to yourself. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Like you can be an adult in the day and then
Mhm.
degen
I
at
feel
night.
like, yeah, I feel like now people are actually doing more work than they ever have been before because of like how accessible everything is, like how like easy it is to get everything.
Yeah.
Because like now people, for example, like myself, like I'm working from home, but
Mhm.
then it's like I also have to like do everything else at home. So really, I'm on my computer like 12 plus hours a day. So it's like I feel like it is a little bit like exhausting.
I agree. I definitely
Mhm.
agree. And I honestly feel like the pandemic kind of showed a lot of people how hard it is to just like
Mhm.
kind of like be to yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Like be stuck to like, especially for people who are like more hands-on,
Yeah.
Like it's really hard like having to just
Do the transition.
do
No,
the
I
transition.
saw this post. I can't get like the correct quote in or whatever correct year, but I saw like kids in our generation now have the same like level of stress or something as like a psych ward patient in like the 19 somethings.
Swear.
And yeah, I don't know if it's like real, but I feel like it kind of makes
Not
sense
another
because,
like Facebook article.
a Facebook article that my Lola saw. No, but like, no, I feel like it makes sense because like if you think about what our generation has had to go through, like we literally went through like lockdowns with COVID. Like we
Mhm.
had to do like a quick shift from like going very hands-on to like a very like online atmosphere and
Yeah.
because of how fast like everything like has advanced almost.
Yeah.
I feel like it does come with like a higher level of stress to be able to like multitask everything and like, you know, like all this stuff. But anyways, that's just my take on today's generation.
I completely get it. And honestly, like, I feel like you really encompassed it in a really good way, because, you know, there's always going to be people like, you know, like in my generation, we had a war. Like,
oh my God,
like,
I know.
Like, yeah, I know. It sounds bad. It sounds so first world. But at the same time, like,
war.
Men used to go to
war, but now they try to get Radiant in Valorant.
I'm like, bring back the draft. Bring back the draft, because the queue times are kind of long.
Yeah.
No, but like for real though, you can't like keep comparing yourself to like other versions of what people think. You just have to like focus on your own situation. But like that doesn't say like, oh, be ignorant. Like you can acknowledge like, okay, yeah, mine isn't as hard as you had it, but it's still hard in its own regard. Yes, like everybody has their own pace they have to go through. Everybody has a different like measurement of like level of success, and everybody has their own time frame also. Yeah, so, life is not a race. Yeah, we just all have to be kinder to each other and accept the fact that like, yeah, some jobs may be harder than each other, but each individual who does this job has a different level that they can handle on their own, and that's okay as well. But I guess that's
well said. Thank you, thank you. You too. I think that's our little GlowCast of the day, though. GlowCast of the day. Do you want to go degen? Degen, yes, we should go degen. Rank up as well. It's like 9 p.m. for me right now. Like we're just starting to stream. Yeah, it's almost 10 p.m. for me. It's just starting to stream. But speaking of, if you guys haven't known, I know earlier in the podcast we did say that like every other week we're going to do our podcast, and every other week in between that we'll be streaming. But typically the goal is for right now is that after we do this podcast, we're going to do a collab stream. So if you guys want to come check us out every Wednesday, you know where you can find us. For me, it's Lama on all socials, and for Reni, it's Lorena, like UHH on Twitch. And you'll find my socials there. I have like different names and everything, which is kind of kind of hard. Editors, please. Editors, please. But I guess that's all for today. So thank you for joining me in this, and I can't wait to game with you in like 5 minutes. Exactly. I'm like, thanks for listening, everybody. Yeah, thanks guys. For bonding with us. Thanks for glowing with us. Yes. Yeah, thank you for glowing. Oh my God, that's so cute. I love that. Thank you for glowing with us. Yeah. Okay, slay. All right. I guess we'll see you guys in the next podcast. So like, I don't know. We'll figure out. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see you guys. But you'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Bye. See you.